All right, let's get right into it. Today, we're diving into one of the most just unbelievable true stories from the First World War. Seriously, this is a tale that sounds like it was ripped straight out of a horror movie, not a history book.
You know, this quote right here, it perfectly captures the absolute horror of this event. This is what German soldiers thought they were seeing back on August 6, 1915. And the craziest part? In a way, they were right. So you've got to be asking, how in the world did living, breathing men get mistaken for zombies rising from the grave? Well, that's what we're here to figure out.
Yeah, that's the big question, isn't it? It just completely flies in the face of all military logic. So to get to the bottom of this, we need to head to the Eastern Front, to a fortress that just would not fall.
Okay, first up, the unbreakable fortress. And our story kicks off right here at Osowiec Fortress, a place that really earned its nickname through just pure stubborn defiance.
So you got to understand, Osowiec wasn't just some random fort. It was this hugely important stronghold. I mean, it blocked a key railway line and it was surrounded by these impossible swamps. The Germans, they threw everything they had at it. We're talking massive siege guns, the works. And it just held. It was this constant nagging problem for the German high command, and honestly, they were getting desperate.
And so, when nothing else worked, the Germans decided to unleash something new, something terrifying. They were convinced this was the ultimate solution, a weapon designed to quite literally suffocate every last defender inside that fortress.
Now, what makes chlorine gas so absolutely horrific is how it works. See, it's not just a poison you breathe in, oh no. It's a chemical that reacts with the moisture inside your lungs to create hydrochloric acid. It literally dissolves your lungs from the inside out. This was the dawn of modern chemical warfare. And the poor guys at Osowiec, they had no idea what was coming.
And the effects, they were instant and just gruesome. I want you to try and imagine this. A burning feeling so intense in your eyes, your nose, your throat, coughing so violently that you're literally bringing up pieces of your own lung. Your skin starts to blister, turning this sickly greenish-blue color as you suffocate. You're drowning, but there's no water. That's the hell these men were about to walk into.
So the Germans had their weapon. All they needed was the right moment. And on the morning of August 6, 1915, they got it.
So it's 4 a.m. The Germans release the gas. Picture this massive, eerie, yellowish-green cloud just rolling slowly across the battlefield. And because the gas is heavier than air, it just sinks down, filling every single trench, every dugout. The 13th Company, they got the worst of it. Most of them were gone in minutes. So the Germans, totally confident that no one could possibly be left alive, send in their troops. We're talking 14 battalions. That's about 7,000 soldiers just walking in to claim the fortress.
All right, now for the part of the story that gives this whole event its name, Attack of the Dead Men. The Germans are marching into what they're calling a dead zone. They're expecting to see nothing but bodies. But what they found instead, well, it would go down in history.
Just look at this number, 100. Out of all that devastation, maybe 100 guys from that 13th Company somehow survived the first wave of gas. Now, don't get me wrong, they were in bad shape, horribly wounded, poisoned, actively dying, but they weren't dead yet, and they were about to do something absolutely impossible.
So imagine you're one of those German soldiers. You're walking forward and the scene is just eerie. It's totally silent, the grass is yellowed, animals are dead everywhere. You're thinking, this is it, easy victory. We just walk in and take the place. Man, were they wrong. And then it happened. Out of that green gas cloud, figures started to emerge, but they didn't look human. They were like something from a nightmare. These were men with their faces wrapped in rags soaked in their own blood, with chemical burns peeling off their skin, coughing up pieces of their own lungs as they charged, bayonets first. I mean, just look at the matchup here. It's insane. You've got 7,000 healthy, well-equipped German infantry, and what are they facing? About 100 dying men, led by a lieutenant named Vladimir Kotlinsky, who was just as gassed as the rest of them. This wasn't a military tactic. This was a final, desperate, roaring act of defiance.
And here's the kicker. The Germans weren't beaten by bullets. They were beaten by pure, primal terror. The shock of seeing these walking dead charging at them, seemingly unstoppable despite their horrific injuries, it just broke them. Their morale completely shattered, the German lines just dissolved into a blind panic. Guys were running for their lives, trampling each other, getting tangled up in their own barbed wire. It was absolute chaos.
So let's talk about the aftermath, a victory's haunting legacy. Because against all odds, the charge worked. It was a horrifying, unbelievable success. But that victory, it didn't last long, and the price they paid was almost unthinkable.
Let's break down what happened next. For the Russians, the human cost was total. Lieutenant Kotlinsky died that same day, and pretty much all the other men who charged with him died from the poison soon after. And the strategic outcome? Well, they held the fortress that day, but they had to abandon it just 2 weeks later anyway because the bigger German army was advancing elsewhere. Now, for the Germans, they failed to take the fortress, sure, but the bigger deal was that their brand new superweapon, poison gas, wasn't so infallible after all. This single event proved that raw human will could, somehow, stare down a chemical attack and win.
And this story, its legacy is just huge. It's become this legendary tale of Russian heroism, but it's also captured the imagination of people all over the world. You've probably even heard of it without realizing. The heavy metal band Sabaton wrote a killer song about it, Attack of the Dead Men, which introduced this whole insane piece of history to millions of new people.
So what does this all teach us? I think it comes down to this. In a war that was all about machines and industrial-scale killing, this one battle was decided by something else entirely, something ancient, the unpredictable, unstoppable power of the human spirit. It's just this incredible, haunting reminder that even when you're facing certain death, the will to fight back can create a legend that never, ever dies.